memories, and you start you start thinking about all of this in that context, and this turns into an actually kind of deep film, despite the fact that it really doesn't play that way. This plays like a silly action film that all of these more complicated ideas have kind of been snuck into in the subtext and the periphery of the film, which I just gotta say makes this like an absolute breeze to watch that makes me think more deeply about like screen violence and fantasy than a lot of other films that tackle that subject with a more serious milieu, like someone like Cronenberg, who would want to take this in like a very serious psychological direction. Somehow I still end up thinking about those same goddamn ideas. And maybe it was just a perfect storm. It was a perfect storm of like, Cronenberg in the screenplay doing 12 drafts snuck in all these ideas, and Verhoeven, who's still smart, still uses them, but also does his own, sort of indulging in the gross out factor and the sleaze and the pulp, and has fun with that too.
Yeah, I think it's very telling about Arnie's character, just because his life prior wasn't bad at all. She's got Sharon Stone.
Peak hotness Sharon Stone too. Yeah, it's unreal.
Peak 90s hotness Sharon Stone, dude. Your life is set. Come on now. Decent,
and she's good. I mean, we've talked about her on Basic Instinct, but she is so good at like playing a character, is putting on a performance, because she is obviously playing his fake wife in this this universe where supposedly the Martian government or company.
She's so good at the sleaze too. They give her these lines where it's like, you're the best assignment I've ever had, like stuff like that, and it's just it's so I don't know. She presents it in a very strong way, where it's not like
she's weaponizing her appearance against the character and the audience, right?
Yeah, and it's fantastic. She's so good at it. I mean, you see it way more in Basic Instinct, but to see hints of it here was also interesting.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. And again, the way that plays into, like, this is supposedly his real life, which is also where people get the theory that the whole thing is kind of like this weird dream, because like Arnold Schwarzenegger just doesn't make sense as like the working Joe drilling into the ground. Like, I'm Arnold, I am working at the construction site.
Yeah. That's why. And they also, it's not really important, but the dream sequence he has prior does kind of lead me to believe that it is happening. Just because, I think he even says the line, actually, when he's trying to present it to the person that's saying it's all a dream. He's like, but I've dreamt of this place before I even showed up to the computer system. So
right, exactly.
Not that it matters. It's fun to talk about every once in a while with those kind of things.
Yeah, there is definitely, like, Verhoeven is walking that line of trying to make you think, where did the fantasy start and where did reality end?
And that's really what it's doing as a film in general. So it's a very smart way that he goes about it.
So that's just it. Like, the questions are definitely extremely valid on a plot level, where it's like he's clearly messing with you, going like what part is real and what part is fantasy, and like where did like if he was that agent the whole time, then the early stuff really was all fantasy, but then maybe the whole conspiracy itself is a fantasy because like he dreamed of being a secret agent and he actually was a secret agent.
Right.
So then
I think he's trying to kind of keep you in that confusing state to just propel the ride and connect with the character a little bit and what he's going through himself.
Yeah, so like it is accomplished piece of like just general like thrilling sci-fi plotting, which from what I understand, a lot of it came from Philip K. Dick's book too, who obviously wrote like Minority Report, which is like a similar sort of like identity thriller conspiracy aspect, like both obviously the book and the Spielberg movie, very identity thriller centric, and this has that too, and like it's fun to engage with just on that level too, even though again it is like a little bit sillier watching someone like Arnold perform something like that as it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I gotta say, like just overall I had an absolute like blast with this film and thought about it a lot deeper than I have on previous watches that I've had of this film. I mean, some of the imagery is really accomplished, like when Arnold blows away all of his coworkers in this really like moment of like, obviously he's confused because he's like, why are my coworkers trying to fucking kill me? But and there's like that awesome overhead shot of like all their bloody corpses that he basically just like fucking blew away, because he was like snapping necks, he was like crushing heads in, he was like blowing their bodies away with guns. Again, the squib work and the gruesomeness of the action violence, so it kind of throws you off, because the whole thing is kind of like, it has that sense of like they wanted that, like that Raiders adventure, a little bit silly, you know?
Yeah.
But then Verhoeven has to throw in just absolute gruesome violence. Like when, by the time we hit the part where like the little fucking mutant baby Cronenberg monster is like, who is also a telepath, is like telling him about how the corporation has like, basically privatized an essential service, that essential service being air, breathable air, which is, you know, something we're definitely not thinking about in the middle of a pandemic, is privatizing and profitizing, you know, services. So it's interesting that, again, it still has deeper ideas into the actual screenplay itself. But as soon as you have that conveyed through a mutant fetus telepath that's coming out of a dude's stomach, and then you have Michael Ironside fucking blow his fucking a bullet through his fucking brains.
Oh my god. Yeah, like it's so what a bizarre image. Like it's just
operating on like 3 different or 4 different realms at that point, where like it's